time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Spot Shooters Archery,
Easy Cut,
Packer Max,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Scent-Lok,
Scent Blocker,
Limb Walker Game Calls,
Buck Baits,
Gut Check,
Stanislawski Release Aids,
Copper John,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Wind Sense Vapor Hunting Products,
and Rebel 6 Rubs. And don't forget, you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on goodtalkradio.com. Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal podcast. Everybody, I'm host Mike Adams, sitting in the cabin tonight in the second week of October.
Yes, second week of October, and it's been a little windy this weekend.
You think?
And a little rainy.
You think?
And I tell you what, it's kind of been fun, but it's October. It's sunny 5 minutes and rain the next.
Man, I was out and about for this weekend, and it started off raining, and then the wind blew, and then when I ended and came home, the rain quit, but the wind blew again. Or, no, it rained this morning, and then as I got out of the rain, the wind started blowing.
There you go. So
nonstop.
Welcome to October in Michigan, right?
Right.
So it's one of those things that we have to deal with as Michiganders.
Before we get started, though.
Hey, as you're choking on it, or coughing on it, or whatever you're doing, don't forget, get over to Hunter's Blend Coffee. And if you want to get 10% on your checkout, use the promo code capital UNJ for 10% on your promo code right there underneath Mike's finger.
That's right, right there.
Or for those on the podcast, capital UNJ. And on the checkout, that'll get you 10% off Hunter's Blend Coffee when you go to their website.
But that's not all.
That is not all. Then if you go on over to buckbaits.com and you use the promo code UpNorthJournal, you'll get 20% off your checkout. So that's kind of cool. Get your baits and scents all ready to go from Buck Baits. Then you'll be ready to rock and roll. But you got to have some rubs to put on your venison that you're bringing home, or even if those duck hunters out there bringing home, go to Rebel 6.
That's right.
Rubs.com. And if you use the promo code NorthJournal, you'll get 20% off your order upon checkout. So using those codes there will get you the percentage off on the checkout. Now, if need some calls and you remember our interview with JPO Game Calls, to get a 10% off code, good until November 15th of this year, go ahead over there upon checkout, use Up North Journal, and you will get 10% off your order there.
Sounds good.
I know, it does. It sounds good. It's season. You went, I went, and we're back.
That's right.
What a week.
What a crazy couple weeks.
Yeah. I tell you what, it's been one of those things that, wow.
Wow, what?
It's just crazy.
Yours didn't start out too well.
No, it didn't.
I tell you what, we're going to divide the show up in half.
Yep.
Seeing as how last week we had our pre-recorded show on, because Danny was MIA. He was gone up north, gone to the UP.
I almost got stuck in the UP. Right?
Yeah, you did. And I was up north as well doing some hunting, and we both got back into town. Well, actually, I came back to town. You didn't.
Nope.
And then I took off again and came back. So,
right.
So we're going to give the first half to you. Let you talk about
my adventures of going to the UP.
It sounded like such fun.
It was. I tell you what, it frustrating.
Well, it's quite the view there.
I tell you what, the drive up was phenomenal. We left at 5 a.m. We hit the bridge probably about 9:30.
Yeah.
We had 2 cars going. We were traveling. I had my truck with the trailer. I was empty at the time. And then Kelly and Gabby were behind me in the minivan. We were just tooling on our way up there. There was some US 2 detour, which is always fun. But
okay.
We picked up a load of wood right there in St. Ignace. I stopped there last year and talked with the guy, and so I figured I'd get some more. So I loaded up the trailer and we started heading west at that time.
You don't have enough firewood at your place from all the logging? You cut firewood?
Well, see, there's a thing that you have to gather it and cut it in the whole 9 yards. So that's another.
So you're taking the lazy way out. I got you.
That's right.
Okay. All right.
Don't need a week back.
So you got a trailer load of wood?
Yeah, we started heading west. So we're heading west, and lo and behold, about 20 minutes, probably a half hour to heading west. the truck started doing some funny things. Started revving the engine. The RPMs were cranked up, and we weren't going anywhere.
Oh,
That's kind of not good.
no.
So the trans started heating up. I was like, that can't be good. So we pulled over, and I'm like, okay, let me. Larry was driving, Gabby's dad, and I said, all right, let me take over. Let me see what's going on. I can get first and second gear, and after that, they're all gone.
Nice.
So
That's a slow drive.
I'm like, and you can't. The RPMs they're going up over 5,000-6,000.
That's not good.
I'm like, all right, so we're gonna park this beast. Now here we are in Nobbin Way, little town in the UP along US 2. Well, there happens to be the snowmobile museum
Right?
there,
Yeah.
and I knew that, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna head for there because
You got to get a snowmobile.
well, I know who's on the board there.
Oh, they didn't have snow yet.
No. And lo and behold, I pull around the back. I go in and talk to the guy. I said, hey, I might have to leave my trailer here. And if it's okay. I said, I'm a friend of Greg Bush's, blah, 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 blah. Yep, no problem at all. I'm like, okay, cool. All right. So trying to think of what to do. And this truck ain't going to go nowhere. And I'm like, man, I'm still probably about 3 hours out from camp. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what do I do? And Kelly and Gabby had gone ahead of us now, and they were flying. So I'm like, so I called them and I said, stop. I said, you got to turn around. We got a problem.
You actually got cell service in Nobbin Way?
Yes, we did. So
I'm surprised.
So lo and behold, they were in Manistee by now. Mm-hmm. And they're coming back through, and all of a sudden they stopped at a U-Haul dealer. And they called us and said, hey, what do you think about this idea? I said, that just make sure it can pull a trailer. And we ended up renting a U-Haul.
Okay.
Unloaded my truck completely, throwing it in the back of the box truck. Hooked up the trailer. I parked my truck, and away we went down the road with a U-Haul.
So you went deer hunting with a U-Haul truck.
We went deer hunting with a U-Haul truck.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard of that.
Well, you know what? It ended up being quite awesome. Pulled the trailer, no problem at all.
You got a truck full of deer?
We'll get there.
Okay.
We got there, albeit actually we weren't too bad. We were probably maybe 2 hours late.
Okay.
Which wasn't bad, considering. So it was nice, because the U-Haul truck has those ramps, right?
Yeah.
Well, I just turned it around, backed it up, and I pulled the ramp out and put it right on the porch of the cabin, and we just unloaded really quick.
You lazy man.
Hey, I'm paying for this thing. We're going to use it.
You lazy
I tell you
hunter.
what, the number one thing...
Did you take it out and put the ramp up to your tree stand and climb into it with that too?
If I could, I would have. But I tell you what, watching that thing come down the trail was priceless. I should have probably got video of that, but...
Yeah, I was like, where's the pictures of that?
I was just... By the time we got over to the camp at 3 o'clock, I was fried. I'm like, all right, we're here. Let's just park the U-Haul. Let's unload.
I wonder what the neighbors were thinking.
First I had to get it across the bridge. That was my biggest concern. It was no problem. I walked the bridge, and I'm like, yeah, this can handle it. No big deal. So Larry brought it back, and we emptied it, and it sat in the area there for a while until I took it back the next day. But... So we made it there. My truck officially died. Transmission is toast. And I was on the edge. I was hoping it could make one more trip. This would have been the last trip. I knew it. I'm like, oh, it can make one more, right? Right. Well, no, it can't. So I parked it there.
It's all that wood you threw in the back.
I've done it before. But when the transmission's got 255,000 miles on it, yeah, it's starting to really... get close.
Red's red truck is gone.
It's gone. I officially sold it today, so
Okay.
it's gone.
All right.
It's out of my hands.
So you got to camp.
I got to camp. Yep. And I tell you what.
Was there snow on the ground up there?
Oh my gosh. No. It does the typical October. It rains.
Okay.
So
Bugs?
But not yet.
Okay.
The rain had them knocked down. Later in the week, when it got warmer, they showed up.
So you guys are popping some color up there now.
Oh yeah, we are just the colors are just vibrant as all get up. The picture you see now, looking at it, that's sitting in my stand, looking out the window right in front of me.
Okay.
And I'm like, the sun was coming up on my left, and it was like really cool. And then when I walked out, you could look down the road, and then you could see all the trees starting to pop their color, and it was just.
Oh, this wasn't out the front windshield of the U-Haul?
No, that was me on the road, standing
Okay.
on the road.
Gotcha.
But, yeah, it was really cool. The colors were coming out. Some of the trees are just gorgeous. And so Friday we got in. We were able to get out to our stands and set them up the way we needed to. We pulled the cards. giving us Friday night to go through the cards and see what we got going on there. And then it was really cool. One of the things that I saw that really got me excited was seeing Kelly. We needed to put up one more pop-up blind, and we didn't know where to put it.
Okay.
Because we were anticipating 3, but we had 4 people. Like, okay, we got to put another blind. So we picked right on the edge of the field that I've been working on. And we're allowed to bait. Mm-hmm. So we put some bait out on the edge of the field in a couple strategic locations that she could shoot. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, when Kelly was sitting there, we were texting back and forth, and she said that deer are coming in, and they're not even going towards the bait. They're just heading right for the green field, and they're just grazing. That made me excited. I'm like, it's working. Because this is the field that my brother and I, we cut manually.
Is this field right here?
Yep. So we cut this Labor Day. And for the longest time, the deer themselves, all they did was just feed on this field. Mm-hmm. They'd come in. They were, this is looking towards the north end of the field, and they loved that down at that end. And I think because of the seclusionness.
Yeah, I got some cover there.
Right. But they were excited. I was excited to know that the field that I've been throwing seed in, fertilizing, is kind of paying off.
It's starting to work.
Right. It might not be the lush whatever, but it's green for them. Mm-hmm. And we cut that a month prior. Mm-hmm. So really excited to see that. I'd like to get a couple more fields of mine.
Is that snow fence down there? Is that one of the apple trees?
That's one of the apple trees. Some are doing okay. Some are getting hit.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting. I'll probably lose a couple. It looks like whatever they got on the top, they're coming up on the bottom, so it might not be more of a bush.
Okay.
Whatever.
Gotcha.
So that was good to see. So we were just out hunting, and so we got up there. We got everything set Friday night, which started our morning Saturday. And lo and behold, when you're in the cabin, what do you got to start your morning with, right? It's like, geez, what am I gonna start?
Let me see here. I would say it's probably a nice little cup of Hunter's Blend coffee.
Absolutely. There's just one thing you got to start our hunt off in the morning. Kelly made some coffee. It was first one up, hit the button on the coffee maker, and then
your nice UP cup there.
Yeah, absolutely. Gotta love the UP. So we started off getting our Hunter's Blend. So now it rained basically Friday, Saturday into Sunday.
Okay.
And then in preparation, we took some venison with us and some burgers and stuff. So, getting ready for that dinner, I took the Rebel 6 rubs with us. And so everybody tried a different one on their burger.
What was the consensus?
They're all pretty good. The elk one, which is there, seemed to be the best one for the burger.
For a burger, okay.
Yep. So the bear one, I think, had a little bit of sweet, was okay, but everybody liked the elk one.
Okay.
So that was pretty cool. And then after, dinner and waking up and getting your coffee, we started heading out to our blinds. And I was sitting in the new stand that I built over Labor Day.
I'll tell you, hold that thought. Let's get to the hunt, but we want to take our first break. We come back. I want to hear about the hunting part of this.
All right.
All right. We're going to step outside. We'll take our first break. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible
by basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
All right, we're back.
We are back.
To the hunt.
We are back to the hunt.
To the hunt.
And it was nice because we headed out and it was Saturday morning. And like I said, it rained Saturday and Sunday. The rest of the week, the weather changed and the temperature started going up. I think one of the days, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, both got to high 60s, almost 70.
Okay.
You talked about the bugs. That's when the black flies started coming out.
Okay.
Couple mosquitoes. It was the little black flies that were being little pains in the butt, but they weren't too bad.
Right.
So, but yeah, so when I got out to the stand, I quickly got my buck baits out, and I was in a pine. I set the stand up in a pine tree, so I went to use the pine scent cover, And
what's that in the background?
That in the background's a deer.
That's what I thought.
And I think they thought I was a pine tree.
Okay, all right.
Now, with that being said, Kelly was using the corn scent. Okay. So when it got warmer, the bees came out.
Oh, nice.
So what did the bees go after?
The corn, because it's sweet.
Exactly. So she was having a heck of a time over there, and she goes, "Yeah, this corn scent's really working well. It's attracting all the bees." Because she was spraying it, and I was like, "Okay." So that was pretty funny. I did use the scent breaker as well, which was kind of nice. It had the earth scent, and I think it was doing its job. It really was. Is that
another deer?
That's another deer. Some of the days, my wind was blowing straight at where those deer are standing.
Okay.
And I could tell because I was using the wind scent thing, wind reveal.
Right.
And it was heading right down there, and I'm like, well, that's not good, because that's not typically how the wind comes.
Okay.
Typically it comes out of the west. It was coming out of the north. I was like, okay. But we dealt with it, and really the deer didn't have an inkling I was there until I would get out or I would make them known I was there.
Okay.
So the deer themselves could care less. The blind had been there a month, and so it was cool. One of the things I needed to do as I was up there was I needed to take the easy cut out there, and I needed to cut some more branches. And I knew I was going to have to do that because I wasn't able to do it in Labor Day. So I was able to get the pole saw and take care of all the business I needed to do, and I'm much more happier now the way I trimmed out some trees, and I had an idea which way the deer were coming, and it was confirmed. So I trimmed some more trees to give me a wider field of view.
Gotcha.
So it worked out really good.
Okay.
So that was cool. I saw some turkeys. Okay. That was cool. The deer and turkeys.
Looks like they're having a little party.
Yeah, they were, because they had some corn there, and it was funny because when the turkeys first entered they were directly out in front of me, but I couldn't see them, and the deer knew it, and they're looking. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, okay. And like, all of a sudden, I caught this little black speck move, and then another one, and all of a sudden, if you look straight, that picture straight away is where they came from, and it was just like they just beelined it for me, and so the deer and the turkey played together.
Nice.
Yeah, it was. And besides that, we had some red fox in the area. Kelly had a red fox by her, and then I had one too. My red fox scared the deer out of the living crud out of him, came in, grabbed a sugar beet, and started eating it. Laid down, just started eating it, and when the deer came back, they weren't happy. He picked up this sugar beet and ran through the woods with it.
You're kidding me. I've never seen a fox. You never would think a fox would eat a sugar beet.
I wouldn't thought so either. He came in twice in 2 days and did the same thing.
That's odd.
So that was pretty cool. The red fox was really cool to see. So now for the deer, I'm on a combo tag. So mine is 3 on one side or 4.
Okay.
And the girls had general archery, and Larry had general archery, so they could shoot anything.
Okay.
So the first deer in was a 4-point, and I was really happy to see this guy because he's wide 4, and he went by me, and he was traveling with a 6-point. The 6-point and the 4-point were traveling together, and right there that told me that, this is the picture with them both. And I think they're looking at the turkey. I think the turkeys might have been coming in again. I'm not sure, but they were traveling together, which told me the rut wasn't going.
It wasn't going on. I heard them too before it was daylight. I heard that tingling sound, and I'm like, wait a second, that's bucks fighting. I know that sound. And I'm like, of course, you're trying to look better when it's black. And right.
You're squinting, and all of a sudden, the 4-point came in first, and then he came in right behind him. And I said, oh, there's my 2 bucks. So as I looked at him, and I said, all right, he's got to pass. I'm waiting for an 8 or better. It's kind of where I'm at. And then a 5-point was around as well. Now, this guy was by himself, typically. And he and the wide 4 started fighting. I got video of that a little bit. And they were just messing around. And at one time, I had all 3 of them in at the same time. And they were cohabitating. So that tells me The rut was not even
Right.
a sniff of it right now, as far as I could tell. So those were the $3 amongst the countless numbers of does that they dealt with. If I didn't have a deer within an hour, it was the only time that happened is when it was getting kind of slow, really hot in the afternoon. It was getting kind of slow, but at 4:00 it turned on and it was like, here they come.
Okay.
So, so that we've seen those $3, another little 4-point. Gabby passed up a big 6 with a little bit of a brow tine to make it a 7. She's texting me going, what do I do? What do I do? I said, it's your call. Mm-hmm. She goes, I let it go. So she let it go in hopes that it'll get bigger. It's a beautiful buck. And that's it right there. One of the best pictures I could find of it on a trail camera. But yeah, it's got a little bit of a brow tine there.
What did she shoot last year?
She shot an 8-point last year.
Okay. So she's looking for something a little bit bigger.
She's looking for something.
All right.
She knows what to look for.
Okay.
Kelly was doing the same thing.
Gotcha.
Poor Larry was just looking to shoot something and never got the opportunity. And here again, this is where I go into my I wish we could shoot doe speech.
Right.
Because I think theoretically we could have all had a doe by Saturday night.
Okay.
It would have been that easy. There's definitely some does out there that need to be taken. They're looking big on the hoof and they've been around. So,
are you seeing any other bucks, any bigger bucks on cam at all?
So I had 2 8-points on camera that I knew were in the area or should be in the area.
2.5-year-olds?
Probably 2.5 for there.
Okay.
And I could tell the one, he's going to have some nice brow tines, and the other one is going to be like a smaller, typical 8-point. I know the 2 bucks. I was hunting in that area, just never saw them. I knew which one I was waiting for.
Gotcha.
I didn't even get a glimpse of him. So could be laying low. Who knows?
Gotcha.
Hope he wasn't poached. You never know though.
Right.
But yeah, it was a great week. So basically, from Sunday, the weather started getting better with sunshine. It was actually 30-something the one morning, which was awesome.
Did you have that cold front push through?
Oh yeah, came through, and that was
Friday. I think it was Friday.
One came through Friday, and then another little one came through Sunday night, I think, because that's what dropped the temperatures. And it was gorgeous out there. And during the day, it started getting the heat kicked up. Tuesday and Wednesday, like I said, it was 70s, pretty close to 70, and it was kind of toasty out there. Mm-hmm. But we saw deer all the time. I mean, we were setting up our blinds, and they were coming in and looking for us. So just one of those things. There's a video that I have. I got to get it from Gabby. They were walking out, and the deer were following them. Literally got from...
Is that corn scent?
It might be. Literally got from... she could have got closer, really, but it was probably from me to the camera away from Gabby.
Wow.
They came walking across the field, and all of a sudden, here comes the deer right behind her. And then Kelly was filming Gabby walking, and you could see the deer coming up behind him. So
that's crazy.
It tells me that they interact with people up there a little bit.
You think?
Right. So what that green field also showed us was our handy dandy little predators. That's right. This is probably a good picture that I got of him in the green field. Now this is a camera that I set up that just points into the field, and you just whatever walks in front of it walks in front of it.
Is Chris Kreiner still on? Chris, I seen him time it. Chris, if you're still on, I want you to check these out, because Danny and I had a differing opinion here. Maybe that these guys, is it a coyote or is it a coy wolf?
I think this
coy wolf, or is it a young wolf?
Yeah. See, he's got some got a pointed face and ears, and some don't. And it's like, okay. Well, anyways, so on the camera, I got one. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then I started going to the next picture. I'm like, okay, there's 2. I'm like, okay, there's 2 in the same field. And then I'm like, okay, now there's 3, and one's laying down in my field. And if Chris Kreiner would have been at one end of this field at one point in time, he could have had 3 at one time.
No kidding.
And what time does that say? 3?
That says 9:08
in the morning.
Yeah.
And that was on
September 3rd.
That was the day after we mowed that field, I think.
Okay.
Because we came home the 2nd.
Okay.
And so they were there, and they were traveling through, and they stopped and posed for a picture. They're in front of the camera. I think I dropped the tag for the seed.
I thought maybe they left their business cards.
Well, the one picture, I don't think you have it, is he's sniffing that business card.
Okay. I thought maybe you left business cards
and
up
it's
there.
Like, oh, geez, really? So that tells you we definitely got predators on the property, and that is not but 100 yards off the road.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. I'm looking at the coyote that I got back here in the corner. The markings, I mean, they just look so dark on top.
Right. That's what I'm kind of thinking. This might have been a pack of young ones.
Yeah, and the ears are pointed, like you said.
Right. It's like, so, hopefully Chris can verify. But, so we didn't see no bears, which was kind of good in a way.
Okay.
Now, my cousin was out bear hunting, so I don't know how he did yet.
Okay.
So, but the week we saw plenty of deer.
Okay.
I'm excited about that. We saw some good bucks, future great bucks for up there. We'll see what November brings and what happens. And then I know there's 2 on the camera that I'll definitely want to go after. And we'll see how the rut changes it, because we're going to start to get travelers.
Right, yeah.
And my cameras are out right now, so hopefully when I get up there, I can get those cards pulled the night I get there and see. I'm expecting to pick up a few more bucks.
Okay.
So, but it was a great week. It was except for my truck dying, which we took care of.
That could have really put a damper on things, though, for you.
You know what? With I don't know if it was Kelly or Gabby, which one thought of it, but they came through and said, "Hey, let's get a U-Haul." I'm like, "Okay, just make sure it can pull that trailer."
Right.
Like, yep, no problem at all.
Good deal.
So we hooked it up, and
that's
away
awesome.
we went.
That's awesome.
It was great. It was good to. And then there was about a total of 13 of us up there with the other camp and my cousin up there with his family, and they were actually my cousin Denny and Daniel both heard in 2 days wolves take down deer.
Yeah.
And they were pretty close.
Okay.
The one could hear the
crunching,
the snarling.
Okay.
I got the meat, you don't.
Yeah.
The fighting, he could hear that, and it was just. And they were about a mile away from us, about due north. So they're there.
They're there.
Yeah.
Right.
And they have no qualms about letting us know. So, but another October hunt. It went well. Weather was typical, minus the snow. We went from cold to shorts practically, and dead calm, quiet to windy as all get up, and leaves were flying everywhere. I think I had more leaves blow into my blind.
That's funny.
So, but with that being said, again, I really wish we could shoot some does.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, when you covered up in them, you just wish you could go ahead and make that decision to be able to do it, but you're not allowed to up there.
Nope,
so
not yet.
That might change here soon. Hopefully.
According to the rules, I'm 1 mile away.
Yeah, well, we've had this discussion many times.
Yes. So, and it's funny, the Mississippi study that they did proved that those deer move more than that.
Oh, absolutely.
So my deer could go over those railroad tracks
and get shot,
or come to me
and survive. Right, because they're does.
Right. So.
All right, I tell you what, we'll go ahead if you're. Is that all you got?
Yeah, I think we went through all the pictures, and
all right,
I got thousands more.
Yeah.
But it was just. I tell you what, having those cameras is cool.
Yeah, because you never know what you're going to get on them.
Right. Oh, so that goes back to tell me. Remember over Labor Day, we set up some mock scrapes.
Yeah.
I had one buck. I'll have to pull the video. And I think it's the wide forwards, the 500 came in, and he's kind of looking. But really, there was nothing. A couple of them stopped by.
Okay.
Deer, bucks, and does.
Checked it out, and
that was about it.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens when we get further into the rut, into November, and see how we can help them out.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead. We'll step outside. We'll take our second break. We come back. We'll turn it around, and I'll tell you what happened on my hunt.
Absolutely.
All right. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Welcome back. Third segment of the show. Danny spent a week up north. A little over a week, actually.
Yeah.
I made a quick trip up. I was supposed to go camping that weekend, but my wife didn't get the time off work.
Okay.
So I said, you know what? How about we flip-flop it? I'll go hunting this weekend. So I took a day off I took that Friday off. So I had Friday, Saturday, Sunday to go up to our property here in Michigan. Weather was great. Nobody been on the property yet.
Okay.
We've seen some good bucks, and I said, yeah, you know what? I think I might as well make this trip up there and see what we can do. Maybe we get lucky.
How was your weather up in your neck of the woods?
Blue skies, man. You can see them right there. It was awesome.
Now, I don't think you had as much color as I did.
No, you can see there just a little bit of color popping. But I got up there, I'm trying to remember what time. I took off late in that morning. That was a Friday morning. I was going to hunt Friday evening. And when I got to camp, one of the first things I always like to do is make sure that I get out and I shoot my bow if I can. So I did some practicing, shot 20 yards, 30 yards, and I shot one arrow at 40 and one at 50. I thought that's pretty good.
I think you're ready to go.
And I said, well, I'm not going to shoot 60, so I didn't shoot my 60-yard pin.
So you were honed in to 50 yards.
Yeah, there was going to be no questions if something came out and I need to take a good clean 50-yard poke. So, but it got like you. I brought my Scent-Lok up, and sprayed down with my Buck Baits scent breaker. Got my rubber boots out, so. Helping the guys that help us out.
That's right. You know what? We were sprayed down before we went out and sprayed down when we were out.
Yeah, and then it was time to climb the stand. So there you can see the weather. Sun was shining. It was, I don't know, probably 55 to 60 degrees.
Exactly.
To me, it was just perfect for being in the stand. I had my lightweight gear on, strapped in. You guys, if you're not using, harnesses to strap into trees, please do. It's just, I'm telling you guys, please do. I heard somebody actually fell off a tree stand this weekend.
Really?
Yes. I heard about it through Facebook. Somebody was talking about it, and it's just not a good deal.
No, not at all.
So, but and the other thing is, and we were talking about this on Facebook a little bit about head covers. Do you use head cover?
I do use a head cover.
Yeah. Okay. Well, see, I go back to this other picture here. I started out with ball cap and a gator. And I got later into the evening, I took and went to, as the temperature started dropping, I put the sock hat on.
Yeah, I found out that my gator is kind of really tight, and with me wearing glasses, it was making my ears hurt.
Okay.
So I switched to a looser type fleece.
Yeah, the biggest thing about the gators, make sure they're below your nose if you wear glasses. Because they fog your glasses if you don't.
Well, yep, that's exactly right.
But a third of your scent comes from your head.
Right, exactly. So, and I tell you what, that little trick of getting that below your nose is just, because then you sit there going, oops.
Mm-hmm. So it didn't take long. I had deer under me. I saw 19 deer this evening.
Okay.
And that included on the way out. As I was going out on my Rambo, I zipped by a field and it had a couple bucks in it. One big buck. He didn't wait around to see me.
Oh, he saw you and said, I'm out of here.
Out of here. I mean, he was a tremendous buck.
Was he really?
But the spike that I saw, it just looked up, kept grazing. And I tell you what, though, for getting out quietly, that bike is made a huge difference. And getting to the stand fully dressed and ready to walk into my stand with no sweat, versus when I had the mountain bike. I'd have to pedal in my base layers, suit up, and then walk to my stand, whatever the short distance was. But this thing has just totally made everything so much easier.
Right, exactly.
For getting into the stand. But, there's a little deer.
So, Doe come in and do some grazing.
Yeah, had another one come in. Got pretty close.
Now, that's just a green field, right? Did you plant?
Yeah, we planted that field. That's got some brassica in it and some winter wheat, mostly winter wheat.
Looks like they're chowing it up.
I watched a little buck and a mama doe, both. They were within 15, 20 yards of my stand. But I got my binoculars out, my 10 powers, 10 by 40. And I watched them. I said, I want to see how they eat, what they're eating.
Okay.
And they were both working through the grass to the brassicas, the broadleaves.
Oh,
and the way they're munching, it was pretty cool. Just when you got time in the stand and you got time to sit and watch an animal, take the time to just watch them, watch how they act. You can learn so much. But when the deer was coming through, once he finally got off the broadleaves, got into the grass, he'd just chew and pull, chew, pull, chew, pull, chew, pull, chew, pull, until he had like a whole mouthful of grass.
Okay.
And then he'd stand up, chew, 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 swallow. Then go back and shovel, stand up, swallow. It was a methodical process of the way they eat. And I'm like, that's kind of cool.
And that goes away to show you, too. I don't think you drilled this field. I think you spreaded it.
We did a little bit of both. Now,
okay.
This was an experiment field.
Okay.
Let me go back to the picture here. That picture there, the near edge was drilled.
Okay.
And as it gets out away, like you can see in the bottom of the frame there, see the brown?
Right.
That's the edge of the field. Okay. That's row planted right where that deer is at. But as you get more to the left of the photo, that's where the farmer drilled, but our guys went back in with a broadcaster and overseeded.
Okay. Because I was going to ask you that because we heard that if you drill it, basically it gives them a straight line to just walk.
And they did.
Okay.
This doe here, watching, straight line, mow, stand up, chew, swallow. Yeah, it was pretty cool. But when they first got to the field, the first thing they were after was the broadleafs.
Okay.
They were after the brassicas. So, I don't know. It's just kind of cool. It's just one of them things sitting in the field, and it's like, okay, how can I pass the time? Let me watch and see what they do.
Let me learn from them.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And that's one of the things. I got all these deer that come in, and I sit there and I start watching them, and I start seeing their interaction to each other or other things, whether it been the fox, turkey. It just watching them, kind of learning. Says, what are you guys doing, and what the hierarchy is of the families.
Exactly. And here was, I think that was a little button buck, and I got bored, so I'm going to take a picture with him in my sights.
There you go. You had him in your sights.
Yeah, had him in the sight. So, but it didn't take long until later in the evening. I was playing with my video camera as well. I had it up.
If it got dark at approximately about
7:39 was the first day I was in the stand. That was my first time I had to. That was legal shooting light. Ended at 7:39.
Ended at 7:39.
Or 7:39, 7:37, something like that. But at about 5:45, this cat walked in the field.
And you went, now I got to get my bow ready, and you might have to shoot it.
First thing, when he walked in the field, it was to me is like, okay, yep, this is the one everybody's been talking about. He's probably about a 3.5, 4.5-year-old buck. He's real wide, but he has no tine length, which has got a lot to do with the fact of the nutrition.
Right.
It's just there's not a lot of nutrition up there. But anyway, he walks on the field. The other deer with its head down, you can't see, is a Spike. Spike entered the field first and ran the does off.
Really?
Yeah, and he thought he was, king.
Big man on campus?
And then this cat walked out, and, and I seen him and immediately recognized him by the description I was given. And the heart goes, brrr, and I'm like,
drum roll, please.
Like, settle down, cat, man. I said, this is not your first rodeo.
Right?
And I'm like, why are you so excited? I mean, the first buck of the season, you're like, yeah,
Right.
So I sat there and watched him, and he fed around for a while, and he started to walk back off the field. I'm like, oh, jeez, just my luck. He was 60 yards away, and I'm like, no, it's just not even going to try. I don't care if even if I had shot my bow and it had been on, I'm just not going to take a poke at 60. So I held my bow back up on the hanger,
and he walked off.
And he was starting to walk out of the field the same way he came in, and I sat down, and it wasn't a minute after I sat down, he turned broadside and came right back out in the field. And
really?
The way he was angled, I was not going to stand up. But I reached up and got a hold of my bow.
Okay.
So I stayed sitting down.
So you got ready. You're like, okay, this might be a game-on situation.
Could be, yeah. So I'm watching him, and he's feeding. He's coming through, and that's a pretty decent picture there. This is all shot off a video screen.
Right.
Out of my camera. And that he wasn't in range there. But you can see, he's wide. He's well outside the ears. He just doesn't have a lot of tine length. So, he's 61, 59, 60, 57, 56, and he starts to leave the field 2 different times.
And he's just basically grazing.
He's grazing.
Okay.
And there's a little 2-track, like almost straight across from me. And he's kind of angling towards that 2-track. And I'm like, man, I said, he's going to leave. He's going to leave this field. I said, I got a feeling he's not going to hang around. He kept grazing, and he got to 55. He got to 51. And I'm like, no, you're not taking a 50-yard shot. Wait till he gets to 45.
Okay.
He took a couple more steps. He got 44 yards. And I'm like, all right, big boy, it's time to dance. And, this is a good picture of him right there. I mean, he's pretty wide. You can tell he's outside the ears. He's
nice.
tall.
He's nice. He's staring at you going, hey, I'm over here.
Yep. And I waited till he was down feeding, and I waited till, hang on, let me get off. Because I got to show this. Let me get back off this picture here. The way it went down. So I'm sitting in my stand. I opened my stance up because the whole time he's got that eye kind of trained on me, like one of these.
He knows you're there.
Yeah. Well, he didn't sense me. He was calm, but I just didn't want to stand and draw. But when he was at 44 yards, I'm like, take one more step forward. When you open that step up, I'm drawing. Because that way he's going to be moving that same side foot in his head. He's concentrating on feeding. And as soon as he did, I drew and come back and I anchored. And I'm like, okay, he didn't spook.
Right.
So then I start playing this mental game in my mind. And I'm at full draw for 30, 45 seconds. With the Evolve 28, you got a 90% let off.
Yeah, so
it's comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. You can sit there and wait and wait.
Wait and wait. So I got the bow canted just right, made sure my bubble's level and everything. I'm playing everything through my mind. And I'm like, do I put the 50-yard pin on him? Because I'm sitting down and I know
plus
my tendency is to drop that shoulder when I shoot.
Plus you're 10 feet, 15 feet in the air?
Yeah, but, I ranged him. He was a solid 44 yards.
Okay.
And that was my thought process. And I'm thinking, if I do, and he drops, if he hears the string and he drops, it's going to go over his back. I'm like, no, hold on. Hold on him like you planned on. Put the 40 yard at the top of his back, and the 50 was at his belly. That's a pin gap shot. And I'm on him. And all of a sudden, I push, pull, boom, the bow explodes. Perfect follow through, perfect push forward. Just like in archery,
right?
The bow goes off and you don't expect it. And the arrow's flying, and I can see it going through the air. I can see the knock. And just as it gets to him, he pushes and jumps. He jumps instead of dropping. And the arrow goes right under his chest. I mean, right up against that leg and right underneath his chest.
Underneath the armpit?
Underneath the armpit. And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. And he kind of stops and he looks around like, what just happened?
What was that?
And he's like, oh. Flicks his tail. I'm like, okay, that's all right. I'm going to go back to feeding. I'm like, I dare you. I'll knock another arrow.
Right?
So, and I'm mad because if I'd have put the 50 on him, I probably would have got him. Because, that thing, it didn't get him. But, it had to come so close to that hairline. So
now, did your arrow stick in the ground?
Yeah, I found it. Oh, I found it.
But did it stick or did it skip into the field?
No, it stuck.
Okay, all right.
So I'm watching him, and I'm like, I'm going to knock another arrow. But he started to eat again, and he's like, wait, no, something ain't right. He never busted me. He never knew I was around. He never knew where the shot came from. He didn't even know what it was. He turned, walked off the field, and he fed as he walked off. And out of sight he went. So I got down, went over to the ground, and I could see 4 indentations of where he was standing when he pushed, when he jumped. And I'm like, did I misrange that? Turn, range the stand, 44 yards.
No.
And I turned behind, looked, there was the arrow. I picked the arrow up. And I know we didn't show the picture of you using these, but you had these in the stand with you. And I'm thinking, I wonder if I got any blood. Well, the first thing I did, I'm like, wait, I got my gut checks with me, my wipes.
Yep.
You got the wraps, but I got the wipes. So I was like, this is going to tell me if I got any blood at all.
You got something, right?
When I watched him walk, I had the binoculars on him, and I'm watching him, and there's no blood, there's no nothing.
Right.
And I was 99% sure that I didn't hit him, but I wanted to make dead sure that I didn't get him. That I had a good clean miss on him. So I broke these out. Let me see, where's this photo at? I want to make sure I get the right one here. And I grabbed the disc out and I wiped the arrow with it. And what this does is this will give you an indication what kind of blood you got, if you've got blood.
Right.
And there's what I got. Dirt. Yep. Clean miss.
Clean miss, right?
Good clean miss. Didn't get him. So to me, he's still out there. Dude, I was so ticked off.
Coulda,
woulda, shoulda.
Coulda shot 50, coulda shot 40, pin gap, and he moved.
But dude, the shot to me was probably the best shot I've ever executed out of a bow at a deer. I knew as soon as it broke and it launched, I said dead deer. As I'm watching it, and you've followed shots, you know where they're going to hit,
right?
And he just jumped.
Now,
did he jump the string and it took that long for the sound to get to him, or was the arrow whistling and he heard that? I don't know.
Oh, that's a good one.
I don't know.
I was gonna say, was it string jump? Was it arrow whistling jump? Was it? I don't know how much time it took to get from release to the ground.
Not very long.
No, not at all. It's humming, right? But was it just that from the string, or was it something coming through the air? But interesting that he went back instead of going down.
Yeah, he just jumped. He kind of jumped and pushed,
Like he knew something was coming at him.
Yeah, he knew something. He just kind of, like something spooked him. He jumped,
He was broadside to you.
He was dead broadside.
Okay.
Well, maybe not dead broad. He wasn't a hard cording away shot, but But it wasn't a dead broadside shot either.
Right.
But that's just right.
Maybe it was just the commotion coming from that side.
Could have been. I don't know.
String arrow combo deal.
But every other time I've had a deer move like that, it's been they've dropped. They've flinched and dropped.
Charles Byron wants to know what broadhead you're using.
G5 Montec.
Montec G5.
Non-mechanical.
So there you go, pal.
But man.
And did you see him any time after that?
I watched him walk off.
Well, no. I mean, after that.
No. The next morning, I tell you what, let's take a break. We come back, we'll wrap up the show. We can talk a little more about this. We'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at psearchery.com.
So yeah, we're back for the last segment of the show, but that right there haunts me, man.
I guess so. Was that just before you shot?
No. That was he actually walked out the camera frame. At the point, I mean, the last 5-10 minutes, I didn't get video of him because it's like I'm not worried about the camera.
When you're by yourself, the last thing you start worrying about when you got a buck around is where's that can? It's like no.
I was trying to self-film.
Right.
But I got some good video of him.
That's
I got a lot of it. I watched that buck for probably close to 30 minutes. But do you want to talk about stone cold? I mean, when I said when he first hit the field, pitter patter, once I knew I was going to probably get a shot at him, it's like I had no heartbeat at all.
Well, that's it.
When got in the zone, man.
You go into that mode, and I think it's just experience.
Yeah.
That just says, but
take care of business.
When I saw the bucks at first, I'm like, okay, and I was like, oh, okay.
Calm down. It's not your first rodeo. But
so Charles Byram says he stopped using the Montecs because he feels that they make too much noise.
See, that's what I was wondering. Did it make noise, or was it the string? So many times you hear people say, "Well, let's jump the string." I'm not always so sure that they jump the string more so than maybe the arrow, maybe your arrow setup is whistling as it's flying through the air.
You've got your bow making noise, you've got your string making noise, you've got you making noise because of the stand that you might be in, to the arrow, broadhead.
I was in a family tradition stand. That thing's rock solid.
Right.
There was no sound there.
So you take. Was it dead quiet, or was there a bit of a breeze?
Oh no, it was quiet.
Of course there is.
You could have heard a pin drop.
Yeah, exactly.
You could have heard an arrow fly.
Right. You probably could.
And I really don't think the bow made that much noise. I don't think it did. I mean, I think I would have been very attentive to that when it happened.
And Kevin Craven wants to know, how old do you guess that buck is?
I think he's 4.5-year-old buck. I've let a couple different people look at this photo because I don't judge him on the antler size. I judge him on the neck and the brisket and his belly. His belly is swooped and how thick he is. I really think that's a 4.5-year-old buck. 3.5 minimum.
Yeah, I would say 3.5.
But we've had a couple people that hunt the area looked at this and said, yeah, he's 4.5-year-old buck. He definitely 3.5, but he looks like a 4.5-year-old buck. He's got a good height on the main beam and width. He just doesn't have tine height. That's right. The one thing he doesn't have.
He's got the cross section,
but
doesn't got the top to bottom.
Deer were in the field this day. They were already in the field by 2:30 when I was going out.
Okay.
All the fields had deer in them. As a matter of fact, when I got to this field, I had to wait for deer to leave before I could get into it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the same thing happened the next day. But I went out the next morning, and I seen
Kevin agrees with you at 3.5.
I think I was out the next morning, and I had does around me. I could have shot this doe. I mean, that's a quartering away shot at 10 yards. I mean, that was a freezer filler right there. But I was in the Oaks, and my goal is to hunt bucks right now. I mean, I was on the buck prowl, so that's why I let that one walk. and had a flight of geese. I heard so many geese. I bet you we had 200 to 300 geese on the pond that morning because I could hear them flying all morning. There'd be 10, 15, 20 birds at a time flying off the water. I could hear them busting off the roost, and they would fly. Some flying over, some around me, and there was probably 15 of them.
Did you have any cranes?
No cranes.
When I was waiting patiently in Nobbinway for my ride to arrive, there must have been. I had the window down, and you could hear them. I'm like, man, they're awful loud. I looked up. There must have been anywhere from 200 to 300 just circling, and it was just loud.
I bet. Well, that evening I went back to the same stand where I saw the buck from. I saw a bunch of does, and I saw one button buck, and that was it. So that was a bust that evening. But the next day I slept in. It rained that morning. But then I got up, got everything around at camp, and made sure I had everything tidied up because I wanted to hunt through the afternoon.
Okay.
And it was really windy, and I was like, if I don't see anything by 5, I'm going to head home. But I got up and got the Rambo loaded up, and I tell you, the bike makes a difference. I mean, I don't know how many times I can say it. No matter what kind of bike you're on, but these e-bikes
make a difference.
They're
out there, and like you said, you didn't have to pedal.
Nope. It got me where I needed to get to and from. I mean, I was in 1.5 miles, and I was there. I timed it. I think it was 4 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Not bad at all.
Just zipping down, quiet, no noise. And I was fully suited up, didn't have to worry about getting partway in, and then, being in base layers and then suit up to keep from breaking sweat.
Right.
So it made it really easy. But on the way in, I took some buck baits and my easy cut pruners and trimmed out a couple little spots, and I put out 2 mock scrapes. And right above the pruners there, you can see on that tree is my trail cam. So I'm anxiously awaiting to get back up and see what's
on that cam.
Yeah.
And to confirm from Charles Byram, he says stand to the side. Good, he said that. While someone shoots a Montec, and you can hear them on shots past 30 yards. By the way, he's been in the woods just a little bit. He's only missed 5 days since September 20th.
Oh, only 5? Yeah, you've been in just a little. Just a little bit. So, that's good to know, and that's something I'm going to start.
Well, I kind of want to test it out now.
Yeah, right. No, exactly. So, but there's
got a scrape going.
And actually, I put these out the evening before as I went out to stand when I went back to hunt that same field where that buck was. But we had rain pouring down that night and that morning. It washed this out, so I went back and freshened it back up.
Okay.
So, but one thing I want to talk about real quick is this little bow hanger David Boggs turned me on to. Actually, he got me this pack at ATA last year, and next week I'll promise I'll get the pack out and show it a little better. But that little circle there, that little silver tab, that's got a real coarse threaded screw on the side that goes into the tree.
Okay.
And on the other end is like the end of what goes into a screwdriver bit. It's that hex head.
Oh yeah.
So you put this arm on and you use it to crank it in to the tree, and then there's like 3 little fingers up there, but you can manipulate it. It's got I don't know how many attachments to this.
Oh, that you can
just
add
click
to it?
onto it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I want to show that next week. But that was pretty nice little deal to have there, and worked out great for me. So, but that last evening, I went out and sat in a pop-up blind on the ground, and the wind blew, and the wind blew, and the wind blew. I didn't see one single deer.
Really?
5 o'clock, I left. Came home. And that was my hunt.
Yeah, no, they the wind was blowing and they were out there. But then you stopped hunting, but you went back to the outdoors.
Yeah, this weekend, I told you my wife was supposed to have that weekend off and we were supposed to go camping, but instead we flip-flopped. So she got this weekend off, and we picked up a camper about a month ago. We got a new camper, and we took off. We went over to Mears State Park on the west side of the state, over near Ludington, in Pentwater, actually.
Pentwater.
Yeah, as you can see, everything's nice and wet there. It's right on the beach. Beautiful place, and we even took the dog with us.
There you go.
But it was cold. I mean, I'm all
got
the coats on.
Wind blowing off that lake.
Yeah, it was nice and cold and windy, and you can see there's the beach. You can see the little lighthouses back there in the beach behind us.
You didn't make a sandcastle?
No, I didn't make a sandcastle. No. What I did make was Hunter's Blend coffee.
You made your Hunter's Blend.
You can't go camping without Hunter's Blend. You can't go to deer camp or camping.
I totally get it. Especially warms you up in the morning. It's like, okay, you're ready to get out in the woods.
Absolutely. And there I am chilling
Got the
out.
coffee maker.
Yep. brought my coffee maker with me, and you see the Oz machine sitting back there.
Oh yeah, you got the new camper, and it's got new camper smells, and
some people that bothers.
Some people it does, absolutely. Some people love it. Some people it bothers.
Yeah.
Everything's new, so when you fire up the furnace.
Yep. So I turned that baby on and knocked that right down. It was no problem at all.
There you go.
Nope. But we've been yesterday, Saturday. It actually finally cleared up, but the wind was blowing tremendously. But we went out to the beach. We took some photos.
I tell you, I knew what you meant by with the wind blowing, because when I was cutting the grass, the trees, the leaves were coming right back. Look at the water. Look at the spray hitting.
That's the pier walking.
The pier.
The police were sitting out there where you couldn't go out there.
Absolutely.
They didn't want to lose anybody.
Yeah, they didn't want to have to go fishing for anybody.
Yeah. So here's I just took.
Look at that.
Took some of the best shots, but the waves they figured the waves were 8 to 10 feet, and they were expected to rise to 12 by that evening. Yeah,
holy smoke!
Yeah, they were cranking. And if you really look, I mean, let me go back to this other picture. Look out! If you look out there on the horizon, those white caps. I mean, those things, they're huge.
They are. That's coming right off the lake. Those are some. That's like up on US 2 when they get that southerly wind to hit off the breakers coming, and it makes it up onto the highway.
Yeah.
It's crashing.
They're huge. There's some force there. But we went into Pentwater. They had a little festival. They had a car show and Octoberfest going on. So, yes, we stopped at a local cafe/pub and
had a little Octoberfest.
It's
October. It's okay to do that.
Yeah.
And they had a car show. Looks like some oldies there.
Yeah, yeah. So it was a good time. It was good for her and I to get away, spend some time together, and just get out and enjoy another part of Michigan, a place I've never been to. Pentwater is beautiful. If you people here in Michigan, if you've never been to Pentwater or Ludington area, get over there, man. It's just beautiful.
Get over and check it out, huh?
Yeah, the camper. The biggest thing is getting over there. Got parked, and it started really raining, and I had to set it up. I was like, no, you stay in the car, stay dry, take care of puppy, and I'll get out here and take care of this.
Right. So,
and we'd already stopped and filled the water tank up before it quit raining, or before it started raining, I should say. But as soon as I backed in, it started raining. I mean, it started raining.
What better way for your
first
setup?
Yeah.
But to do it in the rain.
Yeah.
So when it's sunny out and you're doing it, you'll be like, this is nothing.
Piece of cake.
Right.
So got it all set up, and I'm thinking, okay, we're going to prime the pump and everything, make sure we got water. Pump's running. Should have already shut off by now. Pump's running. I'm like, I might ought to turn this pump off before I burn it up.
Yep.
Turned it off. I'm like, got out and started doing a walk around. Like, what? I forgot something. So popped the little compartment on the water heater.
The valve to turn it on?
No. The drain plug was out of it. So it was pumping water out of the water heater. So I pumped like a third of my water out on the ground.
All right, then.
So I put that in, and all of a sudden, boom, we had it.
We had water.
Yeah. And everything else was pretty well went, like a piece of cake.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
That's it. Did you have to run the heater?
Yes.
And how was it?
At first, it took a little while to adjust it and figure out that sweet spot.
Okay.
But once we got that, it was perfect.
There you go.
It was blazing hot at the beginning, man. It's like, whew, man, sit here in my shorts.
We're going to turn this down a little bit. Open the window.
Like I'm in a dang easy bake oven or something,
You kind of were.
Frying myself.
Right, exactly. So that's kind of cool. Glad you had a good time. Glad you had a good time up north.
Yeah.
I had a great time up north. It was good. It sounded like we had a great out in the woods, man.
Both weekends for me was very relaxing. The time I spent up north weekend before last on that Friday when I first got there, on the drive up actually, and while I was in stand, and up until the point that Buck walked out. And even the next morning, I thought a lot about Jim Beasley. That was the day after the funeral.
Yeah, I was just about to say, because before we left, we had to go to Jim's funeral.
Yeah.
Now, if anybody doesn't, you go to funerals, everybody goes to funerals, and this was the perfect...
I know what you're going to say.
It was one of those things, so when you...
It was a God moment.
It was. The service was great. It was beautiful.
A lot of crying, a lot of laughs.
A lot of crying, a lot of laughs. And then everybody who would want, go over to the funeral, to the cemetery. So they have the little service, and it's cloudy, and...
It started spitting rain.
And then...
As soon as the guy put that crank in...
So sometimes they do this and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they let everybody leave and then they drop the casket into the ground.
Yeah.
This time they let people stay and everybody watched it. And yes, it was a God moment because as soon as he started to let Jim into the ground, the sun came out.
And I elbowed you and I go, dude, the sun just came out.
And I'm like, you're right.
And wasn't it so warm you could feel it?
Yes.
Because it was a cold day.
It was one of those moments.
And as soon as he got to the bottom, the whole
clouded right back up.
The whole closed up.
And it's like, okay then. So
yeah,
you think about and you reflect. And we had that funeral, and then we both left the next day to go do hunting, which Jim would want us to do, right?
Yep. He always said, keep moving forward.
And that's what we did. We paid our respects to Jim, and we sent him off, and we sent ourselves off into the woods, and I'm gonna miss that guy.
Yeah, it's a lot of knowledge, man. A good friend, just a great man.
He was.
I didn't know his daughter, but that's the one thing I told her. I said, your dad was such a great man. He was such a good person.
He had, from what, never really getting to sit down with Jim and hear his life story, but from what I'm hearing, he turned it around in the end and got onto that, helping everybody else he could.
Absolutely.
So that was really cool.
And he helped us so much.
Oh, yeah. So we will continue on in the memory of Jim.
Yep.
And
help others.
And help others. That's exactly what we do. We've never turned down anybody not to help them. So that's what Jim wants. Jim was adamant about teaching others, getting them into archery. So.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's what we're all about as well. We wouldn't do this if we didn't want others to enjoy it with us. We're not going to say don't do it because we don't want you to. No. The more the merrier, right?
Absolutely.
That's like there was a total of 13 of us up there, being husbands, wives, kids, but it was just the fact that they were there, and that was cool.
Well, talking about helping others, we got just a second. Our camp, we've got a big turnover right now.
Yeah, you do.
There's 6 of us in camp still. 5, one guy, he's out west hunting. That's what he does, and the 5 of us are going to be there this deer season. Before this year, everybody kind of kept to themselves, their little areas, and that's where they hunted, and nobody really shared information. As soon as I got pictures of this buck, like, hey guys, I had a great hunt this weekend. This is where we were at, what we were doing. I saw 5 different bucks on the first hunt, the first evening. This is a photo of them.
Right.
Get out there.
Share, not hide it and say, "Oh, I didn't see a thing."
Yep, share and help.
Because if one of
camaraderie,
exactly, and one of you 5 get him,
yeah, it'd be great.
It'd be great,
absolutely.
Right? And if you're there, you'd probably help them bring it in. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things. And so we it's the same thing at our camp. If somebody gets one, if it's early morning, and if you don't need help and you want we'll help at another point in time. But, like at breakfast or lunch or whatever it might be, or even in the evening, right?
Right.
Wait till dark, we'll be there, we'll help you.
The camaraderie of deer camp, and that's what it's about.
And that's what it was. It was like sharing, okay, we got 2 8-points on camera, we've got the 6-point, the 5, sharing information.
Scouting report.
We seen the 5-point over on the other property. Okay, so he's traveling. The big 6-point, 7-point, we've seen him too he's traveling. So it's like, okay,
sharing information.
Exactly. So we know what bucks we're looking for or are hopefully coming. That's why when I talked about in my segment, the traveler bucks, those are going to start showing up, and those will be like, okay, got some visitors.
All right. You know what? We're going to wrap up the show here. We're running just a little bit long, but
you know what?
We had people on here. A lot of people on here tonight, and we want to thank everybody for tuning in.
Absolutely. We I hope last week's show was good. I didn't check the numbers yet. I hope you enjoyed having them on. We got another segment with them about the fishing side of it, and we'll probably air that. It sounds like we're going to shoot for November.
Yeah. And actually, they kicked me out of the studio.
Well, for that one, yeah. But stay tuned. You just can't say that. But we did kick him out of the studio, and me and Ken had some fun.
Yeah, they did. They had a little too much fun.
Right.
But I tell you what, we're going to wrap up the podcast portion this week, folks. It was a great weekend to be out. Both last 2 weekends here in Michigan, even though it was a little rainy, windy this weekend where I was at, but it was still good to spend time with my wife. Just her and I, we just relaxed, and it was really good. It's soul cleansing, just being out in nature. So
I tell you what. Whether I was seeing deer, or watching Joe Chipmunk.
Right.
It was I'll take that.
It helps. It does. It helps recharge the batteries. So, guys and gals, get out there and get in the woods, get on the water, whatever it is that turns your crank. Get out there, get at it, and just have some fun and be safe while you're out there. That'll do it for us this week, folks, here on the Up North Journal. And don't forget, you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on goodtalkradio.com. This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Spot Shooters Archery,
Easy Cut,
Packer Max,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Scent-Lok,
Scent Blocker,
Lim Walker Game Calls,
Buck Baits,
Gut Check,
Stanislawski Release Aids,
Copper John,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Wind Sense Vapor Hunting Products,
and Rebel 6 Rubs.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe until next week on the Up North Journal.